Always ask. They think that you're probably like the role model look for the Air Force, right? And one of the questions that they always ask is like, how did General Drowley get the call sign of Johnny Bravo?
Oh, yeah, super classified. Hey team, Bullseye, Brigadier General Drowley here with you for our 5C7 time. Today we've got the honor of our maintenance group commander, Colonel Bart Kenerson. He's going to tell us about his job, his origin story, and what drives him and what is his why that brings him to work every day. I've been very lucky. I've had a couple assignments to work with Colonel Kenerson, so I feel like I've got a little bit of background information, but we're going to hear some great stuff from him today, and I'm really looking forward to talking with him. So Bart, let's talk from your beginnings. Started in the great state of Arkansas.
No, sir. The great state of Tennessee, God's country. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're in Tennessee at college. Tell us about your origin story. What drove you to want to join the Air Force and be a part of this?
Yeah, so I was raised in Nashville, Tennessee. You know, and as a young child at the early age, as a first grader, we're not too far away from Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up, but all I know is when I saw the Hueys flying overboard, back, sir, probably when you were born, when Hueys were still being flown in combat sorties. I saw that, I looked up and I said, you know, someday when I grow up, that's exactly what I want to do. What that is, I don't know. It was service oriented. And to be honest, I stayed true to myself. You know, the family wasn't predominantly a military background other than my two older brothers. My older brother was in the Army during Desert Storm, and my other brother was a fire engine mechanic. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, I figured out, you know, as a young kid, first grade, the military is the way to go. And that's exactly where I stayed true to the self. I stayed with the aviation side. So that is my story of why and how I got to this place.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, why I do kind of, you know, from a perspective of the Air Force is that I've always had a passion for people. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm an extrovert, don't like to talk a whole lot, but people drive me, you know, in the service culture and a purpose-driven mission. It's kind of corny, but I kind of give it out, and this does what drives me, God, country, and service and family. And so those are the things that have been, you know, mainstays in my life the whole entire time. And with all three of those things at the center of my drive, it kind of gives me my balance, and I've kind of stayed true to that. That's why I do it, is for my family, to hopefully that they have a better nation than I've ever had, for my children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. And that's kind of the why I do what I do.
Oh, that's great. So the path that you took into college, right? Where'd you go to school?
I went to the great Middle Tennessee State University, the home of the Blue Raiders.
There we are, the Blue Raiders. And so ROTC there, or?
I did, yes, sir. I was in the ROTC. It was a crosstown agreement. Went to Tennessee State University, Det 790. Mm-hmm. It was a great journey. So there was with us Vanderbilt, Western Kentucky, and a bunch of other universities. And yeah, that was my commissioning source, was at Middle Tennessee State University.
Awesome. Any other extracurricular activities in college?
Well, yes, sir. Yeah. So, you know, I was also the university mascot.
There we are.
And I knew that this was where it was going. I was the mascot, where this is probably where I got some of the nicknames of which I still carry forward to today. But that was back during the days that the mascot was probably maybe the best part of our sports program. It's amazing what you'll do when someone else drives you to volunteer for different things. But yeah, it was a great journey.
So there you are, you're being professionally recruited by NFL teams to be the mascot. You're in ROTC, you have some choices to make. Maintainer though, was that like at the top of the dream sheet? Did you know that's what you wanted to do when it came time to get commissioned?
Well, you know, to be honest with you, I want to be in aviation. I did pick up in, you know, I said pilot, anything with aviation. You know, in ROTC, they really give you a good full explanation of what's the so what and what are the job opportunities. Pilot was the first choice that was on there, but in 1995, as you probably know, you were in 10 years prior to me, there was not a whole lot of opportunity. And so really I got selected for what my degree was in, aerospace management, aerospace aviation. And so I got picked to be a maintenance officer, and I was extremely ecstatic about becoming a maintenance officer. I went off to my first duty assignment in Minot, North Dakota.
Yeah, so
I loved it.
Tell me about that, yeah. Was it?
Yeah, so Minot, North Dakota was a very formative assignment. You know, that's really where I will tell you that I got my teeth into aircraft maintenance. And I really give, you know, all the credit to my somewhat successes, I guess I would say. It's to all the chiefs and the folks that work for me. They sat me down from day one in the B-52 community where they still thought SAC was alive. SAC was not active when I was in. And they kind of taught me the ropes of leadership. What is it like in the trenches? What is it like to lead airmen? What do they value? What do they need? And how do you properly care for them to kind of get after the mission? And so it was a great assignment. I loved it. You know, a lot of fishing, a lot of hunting. But with the nuclear mission and the conventional mission as a young maintenance officer, I got an opportunity to really witness what the Bomber Command is all about. And that's where I first started.
Now, you've seen a number of maintenance organizations, a lot of them very focused on very specific missions, and now you're here at the 57th Maintenance Group. How do they compare and contrast when you look at the differences of what I would call your standard maintenance group to this maintenance group?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, absolutely. So as part of that is that, from all the other maintenance, you're right, there was a single focus. You have a combat code of mission, you're the nuclear, SIAP, conventional, very specific doc statements that you were tied to. Here, it's even got more challenges. I mean, this is probably the most diverse organization that I've ever had the privilege and opportunity to work in, where, as we like to say, as Dells goes, so does the Air Force, from where everything starts here, and where you have to have, from a perspective of operational test and the weapon school production and the aggressor air, and syncing all of those maintainers on a common purpose, common goal of what is the SOA they're doing every day. And so I will tell you, those are some of the most distinct challenges with a group that's this large, with that diverse mission sets, to kind of keep everybody focused in the right direction. And I will tell you, they're just crushing it, doing great things. But that is significantly the difference. But very proud of the organization, the best in Air Combat Command.
Yeah, that's great. And so you've gotten to work at Minot, Seymour Johnson, Davis Monthan. You were a Senate legislative liaison for a time period. A lot of leadership lessons there. What is one leadership lesson you'd like to pass along to your team? Like, hey, if there's something you put an investment in, this is a good one to hang your hat on or to keep in your notebook and focus you in a leadership standpoint.
Yeah, because I'm a firm believer that everything that we do in the Air Force is about building trusting relationships. And relationship building is critically important, and greater sense of transparency to your people to help give the so what and the why of what they're doing has been truly a force multiplier throughout the rest of my career of giving, really, as from a leadership example, one, leading by example, being the one out in front, but by over-communicating, being very transparent, creating a trusting, purpose-driven organization has really kept me on a path of success to, really engage with the airmen to kind of get them through where they are now. And I will tell you that it has served me very well.
Yeah, that's great. So I've been beating you up with a number of questions. What questions do you have for me? What can I answer for our team?
Yeah, sir, I think, from a standpoint, the airmen always ask, they think that you're probably like the role model look for the Air Force, right? And one of the questions that they always ask is like, how did General Drowley get the call sign of Johnny Bravo?
Oh, yeah, super classified. No, it's actually a very unclassified call sign story. So when I showed up to Korea as a lieutenant, A-10 pilot, I showed up in the middle of a operational exercise that was going on. And so they didn't want the new guy messing up the inspection. So I kind of got hid away in the dorms for like almost 2 weeks, just kind of hanging out there for the inspection to end. And then once it was done, I jumped in with the squadron and started flying sorties. This is how much of a numbskull I was as a young lieutenant. Could not figure out where the barbershop was in that time or about the week after. So I'm getting checked out in the A-10 with the 25th Fighter Squadron. I'm coming up on when they will assign me my call sign. And it just so happens I've taxied in, I'm de-armed, I'm getting ready to hop out of the jet, and I pop my helmet off and my hair is going everywhere. As the squadron commander, group commander, wing commander are all walking by, they were coming from another event, and literally point up and go, what's going on with that guy's hair? And so in the call sign ceremony, there was a few, from my understanding, that were thrown out. Moose, Elvis, and Johnny Bravo from the Cartoon Network had just kind of come out and been very big and very popular, and it sounds like that's the one that won hands down. So unfortunately, it was due to some out of reg hair as a young lieutenant, which now is very nicely in regs, and I keep it there.
One other question, I think, you've got a great story. And if you haven't watched it, all of you need to watch the YouTube and look at the channel where General Drowley's on there. So you had some defining moments in your career. A lot of the airmen gravitate to this because it also gives the why, what drives you. Could you share just a little bit about your story providing close air support?
Yeah. So the one that you're referring to on YouTube is a TED Talk that I gave. A friend of mine, Simon Senek, asked me to talk at a TEDx event at Scott Air Force Base. What was interesting is at the time I didn't know what a TED Talk was, and so he asked me to do it. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go, give a briefing or whatever it is. And he's like, no, it's not a briefing. This is a TED Talk. And I was like, yeah, sure, yeah, I'll go do that. When I finally learned what it was, I was like, hey, I don't want to do this because this is a lot of me. This is a lot of here's what I did. And he was like, no, that's the thing though. It's not about you. People need to hear this story to hear about sacrifice and service above yourself. And that's really, as a close air support, born and raised kind of pilot, that I believe in. That's the creed. And it's really, when you look at it, every single mission that's in the Air Force. It's not about us, whether it's maintenance or air-to-air or our AMC missions that are out there. It's not about me. It's about what can I do to help out here. And so from that mission, it was a very similar dynamic. I was up there, provided really top cover and air support for a special operations unit that had gotten a high value target, and we're now trying to get them back to a location. The weather conditions had degraded significantly, and then all of a sudden they came under attack. And when that happened, the immediate and first thing that kicked in was like, hey, this isn't about me. I got to go down there and help out. I was very lucky. I had got my training here at the weapons school. I literally graduated from the weapons school, and 3 days later was over in Afghanistan flying combat missions. And so from a mission readiness standpoint, I knew I was ready to go. Not to say that it wasn't daunting and a challenging experience, it was, but the thing that drove me to do everything that I do is, hey, they would do it for me, and this isn't about me, it's about helping them. And that's really what kind of won the day for me and allowed me to do the job that I needed to do.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks. I know that I've seen that story a couple times, and it's always empowering and kind of motivating. Hey, one of the things I did want to ask you, you always ask us this question. Now, I think, me having the privilege, and maybe you not the privilege of working for you for the past 4 years, what is your why? What drives you every day?
No, that's really what it is. It's what can I do to help the team be ready? What can I do that's not about me, it's about helping them. And really on the airmen and family readiness side, it's what can I do to help give them to the next assignment, to the next adventure better than I got them. And on the mission side, what can I do to make sure they're ready for whatever occurs. And so that's my why. That's what brings me into work every day and drives me to try and be better at the leadership and better at the mission each and every day that I come in. So that's my why. I really appreciate the time today. I only have one last question for you. So you've got a number of AMUs, number of different platforms. Which one's your favorite?
So they're all my favorite.
No, you got to give me one AMU, one platform.
Sir, there is no favorite. They
This is
are
not the
all
57th MXG. This
they
is
are
the
always
5C7.
equally loved. They all represent the 57th MXG.
So the A10. That's what, no.
The attack mission is absolutely, bar none, an incredible mission. But all of them have their uniquenesses and their challenges, and they're just incredible. I will tell you, just back to that though, these airmen are amazing. From the 3,000 folks that are within the group, they're young sons and daughters of 18 to 24-year-old airmen doing this diverse mission set in the attack platform. I really do like that one, by the way. Absolutely just blows it out every day, so I just thank them for what they do and how courageous they are on a day-to-day basis for what we ask of them to do.
Absolutely. Well, hey, team, thanks for spending the time with us today. We really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, and fights on.